Oh, we're live.
Hello.
We're live. Hello. Sorry we're late. Gremlins. But we're here, and we're here to answer questions about our wonderful new stencil and stamp tool. Now, if you haven't seen it, go over to the website and check out as well. I've got a few housekeeping things here. There's a new stencil and stamp tool hub. So all the information you need thus far is there. There's a great overview video which will take you through the tool and how it works. Today I'm here to answer some questions. We've had some in already. I've got them written down. They're here taped to this pole where the camera boom is.
Very technical.
Very technical, very technical. Actually, it's one of those grip things holding it there. But if you have any questions while we're talking to you, then Josh will be reading them out. So Josh is monitoring everything. That's pretty much.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm just here. If you have any questions that we haven't covered, if you have any that I know we will be covering, we will probably respond anyway. So any question that's asked in the feed here that I can see, we will get round to answering you. But I'm going to pick the most sort of pertinent questions. Pertinent. That's the second time I've used that word today. And I will be reading them out along with the person who is asking the question. So yeah, it's sort of a running theme now, isn't it, with the answering questions?
It pretty much is, because we love that engagement. We love to hear from you. Where you're from, what's happening, what's the weather like? It's thunder. It's thunder here, folks. Yes, it is. It's thunder and rain. It's a nasty all day. But yeah, just let us know. Let us know if you've seen the tool, if you've got the tool. And incidentally, it is available in the US from Sizzix.com on the 20th of September, but it's already available from scrapbook.com, as are all the other bits and pieces that go with it. So should we take a deep dive into it? Incidentally, if we don't get round to answering your question, if you send one through and we don't get round to answering it, somebody will get back to you in due course. So let's flip over to our overhead camera, because I want to show you this wonderful tool. Here it is. It's the, as I said, it's the stencil and stamp tool. It comes in this lovely box. There's the instructions telling, not instructions so much, but it's telling you what you get in this box. So let's do one of those lovely unboxings. I haven't done one of these for a while. So there it is. It comes to you in this lovely sort of polythene to keep everything together. So you know what, if it rattles about, all the bits will not get damaged inside. So it's, there we are. It's really well put together. And one of the things that I love about this tool is its sheer simplicity. We haven't over-engineered it. It pretty much does what it says on the box. So these are the three main bits. So this is the stamp plate. This is the base, and the base has a lovely foam backing. So that's to keep it in place. So that's what, so we'll move around. And then we have our sticky grid sheet, and finally the stamp adapter. Now for storage, when you put this away, stamp adapter simply fits on those two pegs, and you pump that in place. And there we are. So let's take that away. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put my sticky grid sheet onto the base, because that's quite an important part. There's different adhesive on the back and the front, because we want it to remain in place. So the adhesive on the back, which I'm sticking down to the base now, that's going to remain in place. That's going to keep it held down. So there we are, and then I'll peel the top away, and that's it. That's all there is to it. It's ready to go. Now, if you want to keep hold of this, then please do, because you can put it back over your sticky grid sheet so you don't get any dust, any bits, any glitter, all those things, embossing powders that could impact the surface. But it's an adhesive surface, it's a tacky surface, it's not a high-tech surface, but it is going to hold your project in place. And we'll come to that in a little while now. Now this video, of course, it's not about techniques. It's not about the techniques with the stencils. It's all about the tool. And if you have any questions about the stencils, then please let me know. But I'm gonna dive into the first question. What is the green piece of the tool called? And what does it do? And also question. There's another question said, does it come with the adapter? Does the green adapter come with the tool? Yes, it does. This is our stencil adapter, and what this does is it holds your stencils in place, because the stencils themselves, and this is a set of 4. This is the lovely butterfly. They have holes in the top here, registration holes. So when using it with this tool, we simply place it onto that part of the stencil adapter. That's going to hold everything in place. That means that when you're inking, you can lift this up, you can have a look, you can check it, you can put it back down. It's never going to slip out of register. So that's quite important. If you need to move this across for whatever reason, up and down, depending when you want to put it, where you want to put it on your project. That's what this is all about. This is the magic. This is what gives you perfect registration every time, our stencil adapter. Now, let's take that away for a second. Now, how does it hold the paper in place? I think we've just kind of covered that. The sticky grid sheet, of course. Now, there is a reason that we use a sticky grid sheet. You may have seen stamp systems where they have magnets and so on to hold the projects in place. Well, with the stencils, of course, any kind of magnets would impact how the stencils lay flat. But with the sticky grid sheet, say I have a card like this, a base card. This is a standard size card. If I want to put it in place, I can simply use the grid for registration. So that means it's perfectly in place and it holds it there. So I'm going to move that around. I can do what I like. That is not going to come away. And then when you finish your project, simply lift it up. Now, can you buy more sticky grid sheets? And how can you make the sticky grid sheets last longer? Well, let me answer the first question. Yes, you can. Here is a pack of, how many in this pack? 5 sticky grid sheets. Now, people might ask how long they last. It's how long is a piece of string, really? How often do you use it? How many times a day do you use it? You know, so I've been using the same sticky grid sheet for the last 6 months, and I've done umpteen projects in that time. A guesstimate, I would say, between 50 and 60, between testing and between, making projects, about 50, 60 times, maybe more, certainly not less. It's still good to go. It doesn't have the same level of tack as it did, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Not a problem. So yes, you can buy more, 5 in a pack, but it does last an awfully long time. Now, that being said, let's something else I want to, I think I'll take this opportunity to mention #stencil snap share. So when you've made projects, whether it be using layering stamps or using the stencils, then share them with us. We'd love to see what you're making out there. We really love to see the engagement and, show us what you've done. Josh and I will then steal your ideas. Thank you very much. We won't, of course. Well, I won't. I can't speak for my colleague, but I'm sure that's not the case. Right, so let's talk about what's next up. We'll only work with stencils that have holes across the top, or what if you're using other brand stencils? That is a very good question, folks. Now, obviously, there are other brands of layering stencils. You have to put them down over your project and tape them in place. Now, that makes it difficult to lift up to check registration. And when you put the next one on, obviously, you have to get it in place exactly right. Now, obviously, with our layering stencils, the full set has these holes. So that means whichever one you use, you can switch between layer 2, layer 3, layer 1, doesn't really matter. You can replace them, you can add more ink or paint or whatever medium you're using, but they always have the holes. So you're always going to get perfect registration. So there's no messing about with that. But if you do want to use other brand stencils, we have these clever little tools. This is the Universal Stencil Converter. And what that does, if I just open this up, you get a set, and I think I'm right in saying there are 10 in the pack. Now, on the stencil converter, you have an adhesive strip. So that means whatever stencil you have, you can attach to this strip. First, we start by putting the converter onto the tool or onto the stencil adapter like so. And then simply now, I did have a stencil, I'm sure, oh, I brought one along. Here's one of, this is from the Tim Holtz collection from Stampers Anonymous, lovely stencil, this one. So I'm just going to put that there, and that adhesive strip holds it in place. Now, I can take that off. I can use this again. I can keep it exclusively to use with my stencil and stamp tool, but it's not going to impact the stencil in any way. You can use it with or without the tool. Also, if you want to take it off, that's fine. That strip, it's ready to go again. You can use it on a different stencil. And remember that little piece that I took off? Again, you can reapply that over the adhesive strip, and it lives to fight another day. So all other stencils, other manufacturers' stencils are good to go on this tool, and you will get the advantage of that perfect registration.
Could I just ask very quickly?
You certainly may.
So far comments are just lovely, normal comments. We got
Cool.
so someone, Janice Pittman, this is genius. We've got Ro Gamildian, loving this. But Cheryl Bristol, I was about to say Cheryl from Bristol. Bristol's her last name. What size are the Sizzix stencils that come?
Okay,
with
well,
these?
all of the stencils. This is a pack of stencils. I assume we're still on the overhead camera. Are we still on the overhead camera? We are on the overhead camera. So the Sizzix stencils, they come like this package. There are 4. They tend to be 4 in a set, and you can see the layers here: 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now they are in a 6x6 format, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to use the entire stencil. Or once you've created your artwork, you can trim it to size, and I will show you some wonderful examples of that. Now,
Is that 6 inches?
6 inches.
6
Apologies. Yes, 6 inches, or roughly 15.2 centimeters.
Do you know what? I was Googling it as you were saying.
You were Googling it? You don't need to Google with me, mate.
15.2.
15.2, all thereabouts. There we are. Now, something I forgot to mention, actually, when we opened up a tool, we do have the instructions here in various languages: English, French, Spanish, all the usual. So it's all there. It tells you about the tool and how to use it. But of course, if you really want to see how to use it, then go to our hub. That's the Stencil and Stamp Tool Hub, to see some tips and tricks from myself and the other guys as well. Now, let's just get back to some of the questions. Stamping. Now we're talking about stamping, of course. And I'm going to bring up a little sample of something that I did earlier today. Now, you see this guy? I could use the grid. I'm just going to put this down any old how. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to put it down like that. Now, this is something I did. This stencil is called Flowers, and it comes with 3 different flower stencils, and of course, this lovely background. Now, if I can dig down here, see what I mean about the size? You could do something like that. So you can leave the space at the size. You could put it on a full page like that. Here's another, there's kind of a mixed media. Let's bring that up to the camera, actually. So what I did, I actually did the ink blotting on the card before stenciling over the top, as I did with this example. That's boom. I love those colors. It's not looking very summery outside at the moment. It's more like this outside than it is like that, but there you go. I think my wet flowers are going to be dead. We got lovely wildflowers out in front of the window. I think they're going to be goners, folks. They're going to be goners. So, there are umpteen different ways of using that. Now, in terms of size, what project? Now, somebody asked a question about the flat size and why we don't like some stamping tools. They have a raised edge, maybe the top and the side, which you can use to get your card, butt it up against that, and then put your magnets down, so it helps to register the card. Why have we not gone with a system like that? There, that is a compelling reason, because you can move a big piece. You could have your piece of card as long as you want. Obviously, the depth, this is about the deepest. This is a 12 by 12, incidentally, and this was done by by switching, so what we did, we actually moved this about accordingly. We moved this up and down as well, you know, so you can take it off, you can replace it. The stencil, you can see the flowers as well, because the stencils, you can flip them over, so you can do it in positive and negative. You can do a mirror image rather.
That is also, like, why buy wrapping paper when you can create your own with something like this?
There
I
you go.
absolutely love that. And I mean, just for my benefit,
Yeah.
because, and I'll admit this right here, I have a video coming up about
You
the,
do.
there
you go.
the stamping aspect of this
You
in
do.
the future. So this, just so I can cover it, that's made possible by the fact that there's, did you say we don't have the lip around there?
Yeah. And that. So you can use a bigger piece, and it's not going to be impacted by any kind of lip, because that is restrictive, obviously. So yeah. Now, this hinge, obviously, the stencil adapter actually impacts. Sorry, not impacts, but actually registers here, and it's a perfect, clean fit every time. There's no wobbliness. Is that an actual word? There's no wobbliness there.
I'll Google that as well.
Wobbliness? No, I wouldn't bother. Actually, I think that's a Peterism. But obviously, the next question I'm asking is, can you use rubber stamps? And do they stick to the press easily? So those were two separate questions. Well, let me show you how I would use a rubber stamp. And we do have a lot of sets of these lovely stamps. This is just one of them. They're slightly larger format, so they work with the full-size stencils, but they work. They're just wonderful. I love the size of these. I do like bigger sentiments. So let's take this now. I could put it like that. I could put it like this, but I'm going to get it kind of there, I think. So this is one of the rubber stamps. Now I'll take my stamp plate. As you can see, it has a grid on here for alignment. If you want to use the horizontal and vertical and you want to attach your stamp to that, that's fine. We've got that alignment as well. But in this case, we don't need it. Now, that simply fits into that hinge. So that hinge is dual purpose. It holds onto your stencil adapter, but it's used to turn this into a stamp press. Now, obviously, as Josh said, he's going to do a big video on stamping and the advantages of using a stamp press. But let me try and illustrate a couple of those for you now. Because obviously we have a lot of layering stamps. And when it comes to layering stamps, a stamp press is an absolute must. Now, I'm not going to ink this up very well. I've done a pretty bad job of that. And there's a good reason for that. It's because I want it to be incomplete. And just to let you know, I've just got James coming in tidying my area because I am an absolute mess. Thank you for that, James. We wouldn't know what to do without you, my friend. Not just your technical acumen, but yeah, tidy up time as well. So there you go. The stamp is incomplete. Oh my goodness, I've just ruined my project. Now that would happen if you had a stamp block and you were just coming onto that like that. You think, oh no, I can't go back over it because I'm never going to get correct registration, which is also true. However, when using the press, when using the stamp element of this tool, you can re-ink this as many times as you like. You can reapply that ink as many times as you wish. And you can keep doing that until it's absolutely bob-on perfect. And there we have it. That's it. Now, as for the question, do these stick to that? Yes, they do. Absolutely. And you just peel that away. Obviously, you want to clean your stamp and then put it back to fight another day. So let's take that up to one side.
This is such a game changer for me, just that aspect of it, because obviously, like you said, you can do this amazing project and then it all comes down to the stamp, doesn't it?
All comes down to the stamping.
And I think there's been times when I've done it and gone, all that time is wasted now. I've got to start again. And then I'll be sat there with like a marker or something trying to fill in
the gap.
It
Yeah,
never looks right though.
No,
you can always see a bit
of
a different sheen on it. So that for me,
that's exactly right. It can look right. We can, you know, if we needed to do it for a photograph, we could light it right. But when you send a card and it's received, it's like, hang on, I've been using a marker on this. So that's it. I mean, it's really simple, really. And the thing about this tool is it's very intuitive. It's very, very simple. It's very cleverly engineered. Kudos to you, Kev. But it's, and what is clever about it is the simplicity and the intuitive nature of it, how easy it is to get to grips with.
Yep.
Not only that, I mean, if you, say you've always wanted to do, say, watercolors or things like that, but you never really had the confidence, or maybe you don't have the skills just yet. I think anybody can take this, you know, whether you're an absolute beginner or you consider yourself advanced, you can take this and you can use it. And of course it works with, like, say you have distress inks, distress oxides, you can use acrylics on this. You can use so many products. Again, that is covered in our overview video. We talk about that. If you have those products already, then you're good to go. You just need to get the tool. Let's have a look. Let's just have a look at the questions now. Does the stamp, does it take thicker rubber stamps? Now, that's a
good,
really.
I was about to read this one out as well, because Belinda Wallace just messaged the exact same thing there. So, well, great minds.
Yes, thank you, Belinda. The thing is, it's not designed to use the rubber stamps, because obviously they are a different thickness. Although if I come now, let me show you. I've got a rubber stamp. I've got a rubber stamp down here. So we're back on our overhead camera. Right. Now I'm going to take, this is one of my favorites. You can see it's tattered and battered and so on and so forth. I'm going to apply this. Now, when I use it at the bottom of my stamp tool, it's fine. If I use it from anywhere from the middle down, it's going to be cool. It's just when we have, when it's closer to the top, the hinge comes at a funny old angle. But let's have a look. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I could show you an example and say, yes, it does, but let's see how it actually comes out. So again, I'm going to ink up that stamp. I'm going to use the same. I'm using archival ink for this, and I'm going to bring that down and apply the same kind of pressure. And you can see that the impression is perfect. In fact, if I put a bit more pressure there, now it's perfect. So you can use the rubber stamps. The only thing was that Belinda who asked the question?
Well, I was going to mention, actually, because I was looking at the comments here. Belinda did ask that question, but also that was asked by Fifi Stamper. We also had Lynn J. There's quite a lot of people who want to see this. So.
Absolutely. You know, it's not designed to use the rubber stamps, but it does. It uses them perfectly well. The only thing that I would think is, if you've got a very, very big rubber stamp, you might not get the most even stamp on that. But you know what? Try it, test it. It's as you can see with that one, it's pretty much bob on. The clarity is everything that I would expect from that stamp. It's just how I want it. So yes, you can, when you use it towards the bottom of the stamp press, because it is quite big. This plate, the stamp plate itself, is quite long. So it's very forgiving in that sense. So, but that's more a hack rather than something that we recommend necessarily. Now, I'm looking over here. What products work with this tool? Paints and so on and so forth. You can use acrylics. You can use acrylics. Now, I like to use acrylics with a sponge. I like to apply them with a sponge. So if you have, the foam sponges that you use for applying distress inks, it's a great way of picking them up, and you can wash them out in between. What I would say about acrylics is wash your stencils afterwards, like you would with any stencil, because when they dry, particularly stencils that are very fine, lots of fine detail, it's quite hard to scrub them. So use them with acrylics, put them straight into warm water, and then it cleans right off. Also, luster waxes. So if you want to use your luster waxes or your your metallic waxes through these, yes, you can. Again, cleanup is paramount. You need to be careful when you're cleaning stencils, obviously, because they are quite delicate. So it's not so much about what you can use with it. It's about the aftercare of the stencils. We do have a lot of pastes. So dimensional paste you can use. You can use a wonderful glaze, a crystal glaze, a crystal paste. All of these things you can use. But if you're doing layered stencils, and you're putting through a medium which has dimension, like dimensional paste, you can only do it on one layer. So It might be layer 4, it might be layer 3. You could replace layer 3. Maybe you want that part of the stencil using the crystal glaze, for example. It's not a problem. It's just obviously when it's dimensional, then the stencils won't lie flat afterwards. That's important to note. But play around with these things. You know, it's all about the cleanup. But whatever you can use through stencils, and I mean there are so many videos. There's so much on YouTube regarding stencils you can use with these. It's just with the layering, but that is common to all layering stencils. It's not just ours. So I think I had. I'm going to go under the counter. Could you sing a nice song for the people to entertain them while I'm down here?
Oh, you should have done an elevator prank, and then I could.
Oh, we got. There you go. That was good, wasn't it? He's good. Yeah. This boy's good. This one, folks. This is using one of our festive dies. Are we? This camera, Jane? We're on this one. We're on overhead. We're on overhead. So this one here, you can see what I've done. With one layer, I've used crystal glaze. You can see that over the blue. It's gorgeous. It's like a thick glaze, but it has that very fine glitter in it. So just with one of the stencils, I put it's stunning. I love this. It's really. I'm not taking the credit for that. It's just that the product itself is gorgeous, and that's the Sizzix crystal glaze. That's nice, isn't it?
That's absolutely lovely.
That's
and
nice.
You've added that bluish tinge to it. It kind of has a gradient.
Well, no. Funnily enough, what did I do? I'm trying to think. No, I inked the blue. So I inked all of them as one normally would, but then I put one of the stencils back and put the glaze through it clear.
I see. Yeah, it's a really lovely effect.
It is, isn't it? I was trying to remember how I did that then, but the glaze, the crystal glaze, and it's another great example of how you can offset these stencils as well, because the full obviously wreath goes all the way around, but the glaze, it can be tinted, so you can tint it with your inks as well.
And even when it's tinted, we can still see what's underneath it.
You can still see underneath it. Yeah, because it is just a tint. It's not actually. It doesn't make it opaque in any way, shape, or form. All right, let's have a look. Okay, can you replace the lid once you put the stencil holder on? I think we might have answered that one before, but yes, you can. Yes, you can. So there's your stencil holder, there's your lid, and that's it. And that's how I would store this. I might want to put the backing on the sticky grid sheet, which brings us to the next question, actually, which asks, can you clean it if you get ink on this? Using a baby wipe, you can, but I would try to avoid getting moisture on this, if I'm perfectly honest. And I brought along my own stamp tool. This is the one that I've been using. And you can see my sticky grid sheet. There's a couple of little stains on there. This is still tacky. It's still good to go. There are bits on it, but you know what? If you keep it covered up, it's not a problem. This has been knocking around for 6 months. So you can use a baby wipe, maybe clean the ink off. But the best thing to do is to mask off any areas. Like say for example, let's take an example. Let's have a look at that. So the butterfly. Let's look at the butterfly. And in a minute, I'll show you some lovely examples. So this is one of the main stencils for the butterfly. There it is. Now say I put a card on there, right? And I want to work on a standard card, but I don't want to, but I want to come off the edge. So say something like that. That would make a lovely composition on the front of a card. Now, what I normally do is I usually work with a full A4 sheet and trim it down to size later on. That tends to be the way that I prefer to work. But if you did need to ink over this, obviously the ink is going to come out on your sticky grid sheet. So what I would do, I would make sure that I had some spare card kicking around, and I would mask that off like so. So another piece of card across the top, and oh, there we are, stencil snapshare. Look at that. So I've masked that off. Then I would put this back in place, and there we are. So suddenly the problem goes away. So now I can ink freely, and it's not going to impact my sticky grid sheet. So where possible, work on a larger sheet. That's what I like to do, or maybe I'll do 210 by 210 or something like that, you know. But not. I tend not to use small pieces of paper on this. I tend to trim them to size once I've finished my stenciling. Butterflies. I did say we'd have a look at some butterflies, didn't I? And I know I've got.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, now some of these are works in progress. Some of these are works in progress. So this is one that I did kind of monochromatic. So I'm using grays and browns. You can stamp through the stencil, incidentally, so it only impacts the part which is exposed. There's again playing around with different colors, different intensity on different parts of the stencil. Next one, so same kind of thing, but this time in pinks. But you see the detail here, this rib detail. I didn't do it so much on this one. I just wanted it more, it's kind of like almost a shadow. So I'm playing around with the different values, fading out the this lovely background stencil as well. Oh, this is a cool one. What I actually did here is I took a torn strip of paper and put it over the card before stenciling. Then, when I'd finished inking, I simply peeled it away and stamped in the middle. There's another one. I do like pinks. I like pinks and mustard together. That's my,
Ooh, yeah.
or pinks and orange. That's my new thing. That's my new obsession. So there you go. So you might see a lot of that coming up soon. Oh, remember that flower? Now, I'm probably going to put this one in a frame. But the flower that we looked at before and the butterfly working together, and what I did, I blended. So I went through red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So that's the rainbow. That's the rainbow. And I think we have a stamp which says "Be the Rainbow," which begs the question, why didn't I use that stamp? Anyway, because, well, we won't go into that. But here's another one. Sending love your way. So this is an example of where I would do the whole thing very much like let's get an example like that, and then I would put it in my paper trimmer or my guillotine, or I would use a craft knife and ruler, and I would trim it down to size to get the kind of composition that I'm looking for. And you can see we use water splats on that as well to get that kind of watercolor, kind of mixed media sort of vibe going on there. But it shows you the kind of versatility that you can get even with something like that. Oh, there was a question. What blending tool is being used in the videos and imagery? It's this. This is multi-tool, Sizzix multi-tool, and it comes with the body, and you get either a craft knife head or a paper distressing head. But you can take, it's a multi-tool because you can take these heads off and you can simply snap and twist, and it's ready to go. Now this is like a standard blending tool, with the exception of the fact that you're working very much almost like a pen or a pencil or a paintbrush. So you can see your project, you can see where it is underneath. You're not working over the top of it like that. It's kind of natural and intuitive. It's when it came out, I was so used to using the standard ones that I really had my doubts about whether I would take to this, but like a duck to water, it's really easy to use. It has the Velcro on the bottom, so when I get my my inks like this, and I usually keep my sponge in the bottom there, you simply press that in and out it comes, and then that adheres to the Velcro. When you don't need it, take it off, back in the tin, ready to go. Great little tool, and that is the Sizzix multi-tool. So check that out. And this is the, I think this is called the blending head. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's the multi-tool and blending head. I think the blending head comes with some sponges as well, some blending head sponges.
Yes.
I have to say, this for me was a game changer. I mean, we've had this product out for quite a while now, haven't we? It's often hard to get hard to get a hold of because it's so popular. When we've done kind of workshops in the past, I've always found that the people who we do the workshop with kind of sit down to use it. And I'm like, oh, what's this? And then as soon as they start using it, they kind of realize, and it's like we've been taught to hold a pen our whole lives. So it's the same sort of thing as a blending tool, which is really cool.
That actually, that's a really good point, Josh, because that's a testament to how good the tool is when people actually sit down and start to use it and they take to it instantly.
Yeah, straight. It's intuitive, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
We have had a few questions here.
Sure.
There was one Let me just find my little questions list here because I'm trying to keep track of them. So there was a lovely comment that I thought I'd read out from Kathleen Stadler, who just said, "Can see this tool being a game changer," and this is referring to the stencil and stamp tool. As far as stencils go, less frustration, more fun. And she said, feel free to use that. So less frustration, more fun.
More fun.
So that is legally binding. So we can use that now, and we will be using it.
You just signed it away, Kat. Yeah. I'm afraid that's it.
We had, so earlier when you were using the universal converter, with the Tim Holtz die. Now, someone had asked, can we fit that full die on this area, or do we need to when you've got it adapted, or did you have it further down the?
Oh, it's completely so. If we did, let's put this back on, because I did put the adhesive.
So this was Michelle Davidson who asked. And she'd also asked, what are the rectangles for? So I think because we went over that a bit earlier, so she might have joined a bit later in the game. So we just
no problem. We'll go back to the overhead, and I'll try and demonstrate exactly what's happening with that. Oh, let's get it the right way up, shall we? Yes, so-called expert. Right, let's get that in place. That's it. That's perfect. So however you want to use it, wherever you want to use it, you can do that. You can move it along. You can move it up and down.
That's perfect. So that totally answers that question. I see.
Even Kat, actually, if you want to do it like that.
Wow.
Boom, there you go. So it's whatever you want it to be. That's going to stay on there. So if I do it, you know what? I don't really like the way that's working. I just put it back on. It's exactly where you left it. It's in place.
And this thing is the converter. That's reusable, isn't it? So
it's
you can,
completely reusable, because that's the second time I've applied this. I'm going to pop that back on there, and it's ready to go. So you can use it again. You can leave it on your stencils, because if you're using this without this tool, for example, it doesn't matter if that's on there. It's not going to impact the way that the functionality of the stencil itself. So yeah, absolutely.
So, Michelle's other question was just about these rectangles. So obviously these are to change the length. So we've got the length there. Sorry, I'm taking over.
No. Please.
Obviously, these rectangles. I'll say obviously, it's only because we've been using it a lot. But it's great to show that these rectangles are to sort of change the positioning of where you're going to be stamping. So whether you've got one of the Sizzix stencils on here, or whether it's one of the ones you've used the converter for, you're going to be able to move this around, so from side to side and sort of up and down. So the possibilities are endless with that. And then when will this be available to purchase? That was another question.
That's a really good question. If you're in the US, I think I mentioned earlier, 20th of September, all of these wonderful products, but it's already available from scrapbook.com. In the UK, I think it's shipping now. I think it's shipping now. I'm pretty sure
they're available for pre-order, as far as I had known, because I did see another comment on here that actually alluded to the answer.
I should know this.
So that's great. There was another question as well about from Budley Crafts. Hi guys, would it be possible to stencil directly onto a T-shirt?
Directly onto well, this is the thing. We talked about bags. Now you can slide this inside a bag. With a T-shirt, if it's got a particularly wide neck, and that's the thing. I mean, you can stick a T-shirt down on this, but obviously the part that you're stenciling onto will not be adhered to this surface. So that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. Now, let's say we got a T-shirt. I'm making this up. So say you got a child's T-shirt, for example, and you can slide it onto the tool so that the surface that the stencil comes into contact with is actually adhered to this lovely sticky grid sheet. Then I mean, this is you can take your stencils, and even though the T-shirt's upside down, you can use your converter and put it on the bottom, and use your stencils upside down. So I kind of made that up. That is something we should try. That is something we should test.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Joe, we should put you on the spot more often because that is a brilliant idea using the converter on the bottom of there.
Don't put me on the spot.
But fantastic question. I have received confirmation that they are available now on sizzix.co.uk. So,
yes. Yes, indeed. Cool. Oh, and incidentally, if you're looking, maybe you're looking to buy the tool, and maybe you want to get some of the stencils or the stamps, I will be on Create and Craft on the weekend. I think it's the 23rd, 24th, 25th. That rings a bell of this month. So if you're in the UK, I'll be there. And we'll be talking all things. We'll have all the samples. We'll have all the artwork and so on and so forth. I'm sure I brought some other pieces. I'm gonna
some other pieces here.
There you go. Oh, there you go. Lovely.
I noticed that our very own Eileen Hull is watching.
Hey, Eileen.
And, I love Eileen Hull.
I love Eileen.
She's watching, and she's a big name in the craft industry as well. When someone like Eileen is watching, and the response we're getting from Eileen herself, just how excited she is about it, it says a lot. In my opinion.
Do you know what we need? We need some Eileen Hull stencils. We need some Eileen Hull. So you know what you're doing today, Eileen? You're designing stencils, my friend. And they will be brilliant because they're Eileen Hull stencils. I know they will. But yeah, thank you, Eileen. Thank you for joining us today. Let's take a look. Can we switch to we are overhead? Let's have a look. Oh, look at this is one. I know you love this one.
I do.
Bird and branches. Now, the branches actually, the full 6-inch, but you can fade them out and they're almost like regress into the background as if they're out of focus with the bird in the foreground. That's one of, now we talked about doing it as a mirror image. How about that? It's slightly more obviously, and this is one of our stamps, of course, slightly more kind of mixed media there, but very monochromatic grays and browns and so on and so forth. This one, I brought this out because this was the imagery used for the front of the stencil. And just to prove that, here it is. But this one is done with acrylics. So you can see you can get a lovely blend with acrylics by using the sponge and using the sponge on the end of this tool as well. You know, you can blend between colors, take it off, wash it out, then dry it between a kitchen paper and start with your next color. This one, it's called Watercolor Roses. So I thought I would take that literally with these two and I would start splattering on a little bit of water using the background, changing the aspect of it. So this one is in landscape format, this one in portrait format, and this one, of course, full size. So going back to the question before, how big are these stencils? Full size, and then trimmed to size. So did I have some more bits?
These projects are incredible. And
There's
you know what?
There you go.
What I love about it,
yeah,
and I don't need to go into too much detail. I know this is just a Q&A, but I love the fact that with this, you are a part of creating this image. So it is your image. You get to use your own creativity but then the product that you get at the end is this really stylized, artistic image, and it makes you feel like, you know, a really skilled artist.
Oh, well, no, do you know what, Josh? That is a really, really good point. Because if we take, say, for example, this rose, and we look at it, we're not just using 4 colors. We use a fresher, almost, we've introduced some orange there. It comes down to pink at the bottom. So we've blended. With the front of the bird, we've gone from we've used a light green, then we've blended over a blue. So we go from a dark blue through green, bring in a bit more blue there, you know. So yeah, you're getting a sense of depth because underneath the bird's tail, that orange is deeper. So you are the creator. You are choosing the colors. You are choosing the blends. You are choosing the way that they want to go together. I mean, we've seen this one is lovely. I love doing this. These in lilacs, you know, lilacs and blues, but monochromatically like that, fading out the background. Fade it out. Don't fade it out. Do what you want. And then when you've done it, and this is a great link, if only I could find my piece of card. When you have done that, go to hashtag stencils, snap, share, and send it along to us. Again, we genuinely do love to see what you're doing at home. So there you go. Have I got any more bits and pieces? No, I think that's about it. Let's have a look.
The butterfly.
No, we've already
Okay,
done that one.
yeah.
Yep. Here's another one. Here's one using that lovely hummingbird. Now the hummingbird has a background, but you can leave it out. And this was where we used a strip blocking at the center and peeling it away afterwards, and a stamp. There's another one with some lovely paint splatters on it. So, I mean, there are umpteen stencils, and I think we can go back because everything's done. I've shown you everything pretty much. Well, we do have a lot more. We have a lot more samples, but you will see a lot more if you go over to the video introducing the tool, which I've done. As I say, Josh is doing something. You're doing something with the stamps.
Yeah, with the layered stamps.
Covering the layered stamps. I think Jess did one today for the festive stencils as well. Great thing about this tool is that every quarter, or the chapters as we call it, we will be bringing out new stencils, new stamps, layering stamps, regular stamps, stencils to work with this tool. So this is going to be ongoing. We're committed to this for the long haul. So at the moment, I don't know how many stencils are out there, but with every quarter, there's going to be new ones coming along. Any more questions? Is that?
Well, looking over the questions here, I'm seeing more just absolutely lovely comments. So I'll just have a look through now. We've got Budley Crafts just said, thanks, Pete. We had
Nice.
Eileen just laughing at us telling her what she was doing for the rest of the day, which I think is fair enough.
It wasn't an order, Eileen.
Yeah.
It was just a suggestion.
Fifi Stabber, woo, more demos and samples from Pete later in the month. Might order mine and craft along with Pete on the 23rd. And that's a really great idea. So that's from Fifi Stamper. Such beautiful results. That's from Kathleen Stadler. All of these samples are stunning. That's from Marciel Gosselin. And then we've got someone called Letitia Milo. Hi, I am from Brazil. Loving watching your video. So amazing. And then again from Fifi Stamper, which just says, gorgeous mix, real pieces of art. And I feel like it really hits the nail on the head.
It does. It's a perfect way to wrap it up because this is what it's all about. This is something like that. You can do that. You know, if you use distress inks, if you like blending distress inks, there's no reason, whatever level you're at, there's no reason that you can't get wonderful, really crisp, clean, professional results. That's what it's all about. It's bringing that to you guys so that you can go away and create these things. So yeah, that's because you talked about it. I think it was you that hit on it first, talking about how it makes somebody maybe as a beginner or intermediate, it turns you into an artist overnight. Exactly. I love that. That was good. That was good. I'll give you that much, Josh. That's good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Letitia from Brazil. I once fought in a karate tournament in Belgium against the Brazilian national team. It didn't end well for me, shall we say. Pretty good at karate. Yeah, but with that, I mean, keep sending questions. If you think of something, you know, we will try and get back to you at some point. But that pretty much wraps up this Q&A. As I say, you know, go to our Stencil and Stamp Tool Hub, where we will be adding project makes, where we will be adding videos and so on and so forth, keeping you hopefully inspired and enthused. Thank you to Josh for answering the question. Thank you to James for doing all the techie stuff and pointing which camera's working at which time. And if I miss the cues, that's my fault, not his. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.